पीपीटी दिख रही है। हेलो।
हेलो।
यस मैम।
जी जी, मैं स्टार्ट कर रही हूँ।
ओके मैम।
ओके
मैम वीडियो ऑफ है आपका भी।
सर, वीडियो नहीं ऑन हो रहा है। मेरा कैमरा ऑन ही है, लाइट ऑन हो रही है, लेकिन वीडियो दिखा नहीं रहा है। कुछ सेटिंग में इशू है, वो मैं बाद में चेक करवाऊंगी अब।
अभी तो ऑन था मैडम, अब आपका ना, आपका
अभी
पीपीटी भी नहीं आ रही ना।
पीपीटी नहीं, पीपीटी तो दिखा रहा होगा सर, वो तो शेयरिंग में ऑन है।
पहले दिखा रहा था, अब नहीं दिखा रहा मैम। अब एक बार
अच्छा,
रीज्वाइन करिए प्लीज, एक बार रीज्वाइन
मैं
करिए।
मैं रीशेयर कर देती हूँ, 1 मिनट।
आपका
अभी
कैमरा ऑफ,
दिखा रहा है?
कैमरा
अभी
ऑफ शो
दिखा
हो रहा है मैम। यस मैम, अब कैमरा आप अपना ऑन करिए।
सर, कैमरा ऑन है। प्रॉब्लम ये है कि वो कुछ सेटिंग में दिक्कत आ रही है, वो इसीलिए ऑन नहीं हो रहा है।
चलो ठीक 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 मैम, करिए स्टार्ट मैम। ठीक
जी।
है मैम। ओके मैम।
ओके। सो आई होप सबको स्क्रीन विजिबल है। कैन एनीबॉडी जस्ट गिव मी अ फीडबैक, यस और नो?
Yes, ma'am.
ओके, ग्रेट, थैंक यू सो मच। ओके, सो I'll be taking your strategic management in social enterprises. Before moving any more further, I just want to discuss some business ideas, some businesses with you that can give you an understanding what we are going to get through, through this course. What we are going to study about in this course. So first and foremost, there is a company called Resham Sutra. It is a solar silk for rural livelihoods. Now, what this enterprise is all about? So this enterprise is actually Delhi-based social enterprise that works with the rural silk workers, especially women, and they have actually designed a solar-powered reeling and spinning machines for semi-culture clusters. So what happens is, like in a small towns, in a small rural areas, um, it's a very common practice of reeling and spinning the yarn, right? Extracting silk, converting into a yarn. It's a process that we actually, yeah, it has been deeply rooted in the Indian, uh, you know, cultural heritage background. So, just to make that process simply easier, the company Resham Sutra has come up with a solar powered reeling and spinning machine, which has made the life of many rural women so easy. And uh, you know, uh, they have actually, you know, contributed in the increase or the rise of the productivity. So this was the idea of the company, right? So the here social mission is about to reduce any kind of low wages health hazards in traditional silk reeling, because a lot of women sit all the day and they start having problems in the back, in their cervical issues, and there are a lot of issues that women face just because they are reeling silk all day, and to earn the basic minimum wage. So to reduce all this drudgery, uh, this actually this machine is has actually contributed in such way. Also, it dignifies the it gives the opportunity uh, for the women to use the clean energy, and thus at the same time work on the productivity. The business model is, how do they operate? They sell the solar powered machines to the women's, to the self-help groups, through the NGOs, and through the livelihood programs. They give these machines at a very nominal rate to the women who can afford it, and even if not, they have, like, various options through which they can purchase the machine. And also it is at a very nominal cost that are available. um Whatever the earnings the company derive from selling this machine and the after sales services, they actually they earn this revenue, and then they support they support in scaling the business, so that many rural women can join this program, if they, and if they can be a highly productive uh, person in this field, so they can just purchase it and then work and support their families, support the livelihood, right? And also, this business model for this Resham Sutra basically closely works with the local partners for training, maintenance, and adoptions in the villages. So this works on a ground level, and it attracts the impact investors to support the scaling by the company. And also, company can earn through the sales of machines and also provide the after sales services to the clients. What impact does this company's generating on what changes are they doing on the ground? They are increasing the daily income to 4 times, 2 to 4 times versus the traditional methods. The women are more women in the paid work participation. Many women works, you know when they see that such technologies are there in the market, so they feel like they can also be part of this productive process also. Also, there is a low dependency on the diesel and grid, and other emission and CO2 emissions. Well, they are not contributing anywhere in this, for the depletion of the, or of the environment and anything. They are solely based on the solar energy, so there is low dependency on any. And also, if there is a low dependency on the, we can say, on the diesel or anything, but at the same time we can also say that there is no expense of such sort that women or any person has to make it. What is the mission of Resham Sutra? Is to empower rural silk workers, especially women, with better income and working conditions using clean technology. The model is a for profit, um, technology driven social enterprise that works on selling the machines to the collectives or self-help groups with the training and service supports. Government touch points. How does government support this idea? It works with the state department, for example, Directorate of Textiles in Odisha, uh, that substitutes the rural solar reeling machines for the tribal women. So Resham Sutra has, you know, um, it has been working with the uh, Directorate of the Odisha. Furthermore, this company has lot of potential that they can claim certain. subsidies and certain rewards from the government platforms, other government platforms, such as, they are contributing in the, they are not contributing anywhere in the emission of CO2. So the environmental um, department can also give them some subsidy or some advantages, and they can collab with many, government organizations for this brilliant product, and that to be a very low cost and very effective and very productive product. So this is the example. So here, if you all can see here, it is written for profit. So for this for profit, you can see here for profit. So this for profit is something that we will be learning in the upcoming slides. Next we have is Zikita Zikitsa Healthcare. So Zikitsa Healthcare, you can see the logo is of like red and white. It looks more like Zomato and other, and maybe Lifebuoy, I guess, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a emergency medical services provided, Delhi-based ambulance and emergency medical services, basically provided across multiple Indian states. So it is based in Delhi, but also it also provides facilities in the and in many states of India. So it is a GPS enabled fleet that you just call, and you get a very fast emergency response. It is a social mission. Why? Because it it makes emergency care. If there is any emergency, it timely reaches the place, and it is accessible to all, including the rural and low income populations, and also to reduce any preventable death causes by lack of ambulance or and pre-hospital care. So they actually work on for this betterment and the benefit of the society. So it is the ambulance under public-private partnership contract with the state's government. So it is not a private company, but it is a partnership with the government. So it's a public-private partnership, and government pays per ambulance or per service as per the tender. Patient received all the free and heavily subsidized services, and it uses the technology system, and the paramedics are trained to respond and report timely. So the social impact that it provides and it gives to the ground or the society is that it improves the response time. The response time is has improved. The coverage in the remote and undeserved regions are there. It provides a structured pre-hospital care within the this within the ambulance, and also the mission is to that no one is denied for the emergency health help. Everybody can have the equal access to the medical facility, um, like in case due to irrespective of the geographical dispersion of the patient or the poverty. The model is for profit services, social enterprises, as it is a PPP contract, that is public private partnership. It uses technology and standard protocols. Obviously, the services are provided at highly subsidized rates, but still there is something that they are charging. So they are generating some revenue, right? Then government touch points is that yes, that government is there in the partnership with the private company, and the state and national health mission ambulance scheme, under the state and national health mission ambulance scheme, which is one, and government finances this particular healthcare system. So these two examples that we saw, it's basically for the for profit. I have not included a not for profit as of now, but later on we will see many examples. So we have seen this. Okay. We have seen this Resham Sutra. We have seen this Zigitsa healthcare system. So now that we have this idea about, we have studied, we know about these two companies. We can just start with what is social enterprise then, because it can really give you knock your heads with the concept. Um, well, social enterprise is nothing but the organization that operates with the primary goal of delivering societal impact. Sorry for that. So the primary goal of a social enterprise is to deliver a societal impact. Societal impact is the most important thing that uh, that social enterprise works for. So they basically straddle the traditional boundaries between the not profit and for profit sectors by using business method and strategies to advance their social mission. So basically they do not they actually juggle between for profit and not for profit sectors so that the social mission can be achieved. Now, these enterprises can vary widely in terms of structure, scope, and sector, but the ultimate goal is to create a social value and also incorporate the social value as the part of their operational ethos. That means when you are working, you should have a social value, you should create a social impact, you should create a societal impact, and with that, whatever you are doing, your operations must be according to the Indian ethos. Now, Indian ethos are something that are what is derived from the culture, the culture, and what is right, what is wrong. So these ethos are very important when we are working in a social enterprise. Nowadays we can see many social enterprise examples, जैसे कि I just explained two just give me a minute. So I just gave two examples for two organizations. I gave you the example. So societal impact. So you can see in the Resham Sutra, they are supporting the women, they are supporting the livelihood, and they just don't want that the traditional practices of our Indian culture fades away just because it is not accessible. It requires a hectic labor work. So, all these things to eradicate this thing and to promote the weaving culture, Resham Sutra came up with this idea. And for the Zikitsa healthcare services, that the main idea is to provide equal and accessible, um, um, you know, equal access to, and to the people, irrespective of their geographical dispersion or their income status. So they're working for a social cause, they are trying to create or deliver a societal impact. So the two examples that we studied were from the for profit sectors. Now these for profit sectors and not for profit sectors are different. And how are they different? We will study in the next slide. Now, there are two types of social enterprises. Social enterprises are of two types. One is not for profit, and the other one is for profit. Now, not for profit social enterprise, नाम से ही हमें पता चल रहा है, the name is suggesting that it is working not for profit, and a social enterprise that is working for profit, right? So any enterprise which is not working for the profit is called not for social enterprise, and any enterprise that is working for the profits is called the for profit social enterprise. Now, what is a not for profit social enterprise? So the basic idea is that they reinvest the surplus revenues gathered from the business activities back into the social program. So whatever revenue they have earned, they invest or they put it back into the social program. For example, I want to give the education to the girl child, है ना, who cannot have the access to the education. I want to support that. So if I'm providing something, if I'm selling something, let's say I have opened a stall and I am selling some handmade earrings, handmade diyas, handmade something art and craft thing, and I'm selling that. And whatever the money I'm getting from it, I'm putting it back. I'm giving that. I'm kind of putting that money for the girl child education. I'm putting the entire money back to the cause. So that is basically something we call not for profit. NGOs are the very well example for this. NGOs are not for profit social enterprises, but they do not do business activity. Here, what NGO and uh, NFP makes a difference. So they do a business activity here. Not for profit social enterprise basically relies on grants, volunteers, and donations. The major focus is to maximizing the social impact with the sustainable revenue generation. See, money is very important, whether you do work for welfare or do for profit. So money is the backbone, money is the key, right? So even if you want to do the not-for-profit social enterprise, you need money so that you can survive, you can provide for something, and and the revenue generation should be sustainable. Aisa na ho that 1 year we are getting some money, but the next year we don't get any inputs, any funds, any inflow. And if there is no inflow, there is no point you can do any welfare, or you can provide anything for anyone, right? So money is kind of a prerequisite to provide anything to the society. So if you so all the money, all the revenue is reinvested back into the social program. It the social This social enterprise heavily relies on grant, volunteer, and donation. This is how they generate their money, and the focus is on maximizing the social impact with the sustainable revenue generation. Now, coming back to our for-profit social enterprise. Now, for-profit social enterprise is basically for-profit social enterprise is basically profit generating business. Now, this profit generating business with the social purpose. For example, I want to start. For example, we studied about Risham Sutra, we studied about Zikitsa. All are these are profit generating businesses, but with a social purpose. The objective of their business, the mission, vision statement of their the enterprise is just to provide or to serve the social purpose. But that can only be possible if they are generating profits out of the business. The aim is to be the aim is to be financially self-sufficient or profitable while delivering the social purpose. Now, they want to be and they aim to be self-sufficient or profitable, uh, along with delivering the social purpose. They face all the challenges of balancing shareholder expectations with the commitment of social goals. Usually, the investors in such enterprises are of a nature who also support the social goals or social cause, and they are known as impact investors who really seek that if they are putting money into this or a particular system or particular you know if they are investing the money, so they expect the social cause to be fulfilled, or they actually seek for the impact fulfillment. So Balancing the shareholders' expectations with the commitment of social goal is very important. So this organization, um, you know, make sure that they are satisfying all the shareholders as well as they are fulfilling the social goals as they stated in their vision or mission statements. What is entrepreneurial motivation? In case of social enterprise, what is the motivation of the entrepreneur? Usually, an entrepreneur has this vision that the thing should there should be creativity, there should be innovation of something, heavily profit earning oriented. But what is the purpose in this social enterprises? In the context of social enterprises, they basically desire to make positive difference in the world, so they make sure they expect that a positive difference is created in the world, and it often stems from a personal passion, a sense of civic duty, or a vision for a better society. So they basically focus on, maybe it could be their personal passion, it could be a sense of civic duty that they feel that they are obligated to it, or it's a vision of them to make the society better, and that's why they that is the that influences their motivation. Social enterprises are categorized by their innovative approach to problem solving and their willingness to take on risk to fulfill their social and environmental objectives. So, social entrepreneurs are basically characterized by their innovative approach. They use innovation to solve the problems and they are willing to take risk on the society to fulfill the society social and environmental objectives. So we know that entrepreneur is always a risk taker, problem solver, a innovator, a creative person who believes, and with his extensive research and extensive resources, they can fulfill the desired objective. So that is what they also do here. So they come up with they look at the problem, they connect the dots, and come up with the innovative approach so that the problems can be resolved, and just to make sure and to go for it, to look for the this innovative approach needs a lot of willingness to take the risks, and also creativity. If you'll get time, you can just google, you can see a liquid tree concept. I just didn't put it in my slide, but usually I give this example a lot. I actually personally found this innovation very, very unique, and it is about the liquid trees, which is actually tree in the form of liquid, and they are so aesthetics that in India, New Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, and Mumbai has signed up for this liquid tree. Very soon, in coming years, we can see liquid trees on our streets. It's nothing but a box containing algae and in a liquid form, which takes in all the CO2 and releases the oxygen. And it's a huge glass box of green color, and there are benches around it, so you can sit there also, and you can just enjoy the view. And it's a very interesting concept. A scientist did the research and come up with such an innovative um, approach to solve the problem of carbon emission. um, and that people are kind of cutting trees everywhere, which is I don't think so. Nobody agrees to that, but since it is there, deforestation is happening. So anything, they people are trying to cope up with that thing, and make come up with the solutions to the problem. And one of the solution for the metro cities is this liquid trees. Very soon, we have India has signed up with that. The contract has been already signed up, and very soon we can see those liquid trees in Delhi, New Delhi especially. Okay, so understanding not-for-profit social enterprise. Now, what is a not-for-profit social enterprise? We'll just go through it deeply. So, not-for-profit social enterprise is basically characterized by dedication to social mission that supersedes the goal of profit maximization. So, profit maximization is not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to achieve a social mission that supersedes, or that social mission is greater than the profit maximization. The organizations who work under such uh, you know criteria, they reinvest the surplus revenues back into the social programs, and the main principle is the societal benefits. So here we can see not-for-profit social enterprises, characteristics, their model, and their strategic objectives. Now, as far as the mission is focused, the mission they are focused on is to achieve a social good. So they work on achieving the social good. The non-profit distribution is all about reinvesting the surplus back into the business. Tax benefit, they are exempted from certain taxes. Uh, it's a spelling error, it's taxes. And aiding the financial stability. So as long as the financial are good to go, you generate enough, revenues, only then you can reinvest it back into the cause. And if there is no sustainable or financial sustainability, then in that case it becomes very difficult for any not for profit social enterprise to run the operations or reach the social cause. Operational model, the it is about diverse funding streams. So you get all the money from grants, donations, fundraisers, and the revenue from services. These are some of the models through which you actually so not for profit social enterprise gets their funds from. Second is community engagement. So if you have a very strong community support, strong volunteerism, then you can also reach out to the social and create some social impact. Also, the third is partnership. You can partner with the government or any private sector or other NGOs for the resources and program delivery. So these are three ways this model, how this for the operational model of not-for-profit social enterprise. When it comes to the strategic objective, now social impact maximization is their strategy. One of the strategy or one of their objective is to maximize or enhance the mission, enhance the social impact, and reach out to the maximum for the effectiveness. Second is financial sustainability, ensuring that a continued operations and a continued journey for providing and contributing into the social cause and creating an impact, a financial sustainability is very well needed. Then comes the accountability. If you have somebody donating money to your enterprise, then there you require high level of transparency to the donors or the beneficiaries or the public. You should uh, you know a, 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 a NFP social enterprise must be transparent to the money how they have used the money, how they have reinvested back the money, how that money has, created a social impact. It is very important. Nowadays, if you donate anything to any NGO or any NFP social enterprise, you are likely to get or receive a call after a year, after a month, after 2 months, whenever that cause is fulfilled, you get a call and you get to know that how your money was used. I once donated some amount for a girl child education. I got a call after a year when she was promoted to the other class, and they also asked me to come visit the NGO and have a look at, meet the girl जिसके लिए आपने, the money has been used, and how the money has been used for her education. You can come and meet. I also once donated for WWF for it's a foundation for wildlife animals. So I donated for saving rhinos. And I also got like a call after month or 6 month, and they kind of, told me how that funds were used and how it has helped this person, this baby rhino, and everything. So, a transparency creates trust. And when that trust is created, loyalty is created. So, it's a chain of event. So, if you are taking money, if you're asking for the money from the public, you have to be transparent. And once you create a transparency, customers or the donors or the community or volunteers, they generate a trust. And when the trust is created, you can expect they will be loyal for the rest of the life. So that is how this not-for-profit social enterprise work. So we've discussed what are the characteristics. We discussed the operational models, as in who all are interested in this and how the funds are generated. And then we talked about the strategic objective, the main purpose, that फॉर एग्जाम्पल नॉर्मल अगर हम किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की बात करें, द नॉर्मल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन वुड हैव एन ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑफ shareholders wealth maximization, profit maximization, increase in sales turnover, everything like that, right? But in this not-for-profit social enterprise, the strategic objectives are different. So they basically focus on social impact maximization, financial sustainability, and accountability. So the strategic objective kind of shifts towards the social impact rather than more on the financial, uh, the shareholders or wealth maximization and stuff like that. So it is a detailed, it's in a tabular form that you can just go through. Profit allocation. Now, profit allocation is what? What does not-for-profit social enterprises do? They reinvest it back into the mission and program for the primary goal for these enterprises is to create a social impact, prioritize missions over the profit. Revenue sources what? Donation, grants, service fee, fundraisers event. Tax status often exempted. Depending on the jurisdiction or compliance they fall within or fulfill the requirements. What is the governance? Governance is that the board of directors and stakeholders focused on the mission fidelity may include community representatives. So the governance is the board of directors and stakeholders. They focus on that the social cause is met, and also once you start working, then the community representatives or they become a part of your stakeholders, and they are also very much interested, and they they are interested in knowing how this how the social impact or social issue or causes are being fulfilled or targeted. Financial sustainability, it is maintained through regular fundraising events, grants from the government, reinvesting any surplus that is generated back into the social cause. So that is how the financial sustainability is maintained. Examples could be a thrift store for charity, community-based NGO, educational foundations, healthcare not-profits. So these are the basic aspects of the not-for-profit social enterprises. Now we are going to understand for-profit social enterprise. Now, for-profit social enterprise basically does what? It navigates the business landscapes with a uh, dual focus that is achieving financial profitability, and the second is achieving the social aims. So they make sure that they are achieving the financial profitability while advancing the social aims. So they work on both the perspective, that is financial profitability and earning the social aim. So profit in this context is not the end in itself, but it means to facilitate and scale the social impact. So they do not just earn the profit and on paper they show that they are doing something to achieve the social aim. ऐसा नहीं है. Rather, from the profits they have earned, to some extent they put back money, or keep certain amount of the money and facilitate for the social impact. So these enterprises basically distribute profits to the shareholders, but do so with the understanding of the social goals are the integral to the business model. So these organization or these enterprises make sure that um the profits are distributed, the profits are earned, the profits are shared amongst the shareholders, but also not at the verge of neglecting the society, neglecting the social goals, but rather fulfilling the social goals, right? For example, we studied in the Resham Sutra, they are doing a welfare there, they are, doing the work for the society, but they're not doing it just to make the money. They're earning revenues, but also they are providing a certain service, so they are providing certain benefit. So they have created a solution for certain cause. So the ultimate goal is the social goal, and they are distributing the profits among the shareholders. And if they find any other issue that is being faced by the society, they might also come up with certain uh, ideas. If I'm not able to remember that there was an episode in Shark Tank, where one of the entrepreneur came up with the idea of creating a motor that you one can attach to a bicycle or to a rickshaw or to any cycle mechanism, and they can convert it into a um, that is kind of a motor, and you can convert it, and it can uh, run like a scooter or something without putting any effort on the pedal. And they cannot just go through the drudgery of pushing somebody or pulling somebody like more like twice or thrice weight. So that is also one of a for-profit social enterprise. So they kept a problem in their mind that is being faced by the people in the society, and they created a product to eradicate such problem. I guess you might know that person. I don't remember the name of that brand, but it is there, I know, and I guess you also know. Now, going through this for-profit social enterprise in detail. So for the characteristic, it has a dual purpose. It focus on profit making as well as achieving the social objectives. So it has a dual purpose. Next is that profit distribution. Profit distribution is basically the surplus is distributed to the shareholders, but also a significant portion is directed towards a social mission to achieve a social mission. So, uh, whatever the profits they have earned, they share, to some extent, some portion they share it with the shareholders, distribute amongst the shareholders, and rest they direct or put it towards or put it back into the social mission. Market driven. Next is market driven. It operates comparatively in the market while maintaining their social purpose. So, such for-profit social enterprises, they follow the same features of a business, like same competitiveness, but with maintaining the social purpose. They maintain the social purpose, but also compete in the market the way any other, the way every organization or enterprise compete in the market. Next is operational model. How do they generate revenues? Number one is they generate revenue from sales. Any product or services they sell are sold for the profit aligned with the social mission. Then impact investment, they attract the investors who are interested in the social and financial returns. They feel like if they are trying to invest money, if they invest money, they should be able to get financial returns as well as the social returns. The money they have invested must give returns in the social aspect as well, right? Next is strategic business partnership. So they can align with the business for mutual benefits and enhance the impact. So companies, for-profit social enterprise can, um, you know, do a partnership, strategic business partnership through which the other company with the same social with the same motive of creating a social impact can also work with you, a same mindset, a like-minded businesses, and their strategic partnership can do wonders, right? Then comes the strategic objectives. Strategic objectives, what will be the strategic objective for profit social enterprise? Number one, it is balancing profit with missions. So whatever the profit, however you earn the profit, it should be very well aligned with the mission, which is uh, social goals. So basically, a strategic analyst must, or the management must formulate strategies that serve both the social goals and the business interests. Second is scalability. Expand the enterprises to scale up social impact and financial returns. So your enterprise must be able to scale up the social impact and the financial returns. The scalability should be the strategic objective. The other objective could be innovation, continuously innovating to meet the social needs, the social causes, and along with that, maintaining the market relevance. That whatever you're doing is relevant in the market, and Along with that, you are fulfilling the social causes, you are meeting the needs of the society, you are eradicating any problem that is being faced by the society. Now, so what do we understand about the for-profit social enterprise? Number one is that the profit is distributed to the shareholders and reinvested back into the mission, and some of the portion is reinvested back. It maintains a balance between social impact and profitability. Like they want, or they also want to earn the profits, but also um, at not at the cost of social impact. Rather, they want to keep a balance between the both. Revenue sources are from the sales of a product or service, investment, and business activities. The income, the profits are taxable as per the business regulations. Governance are basically board of directors, which balances the social interest, the shareholders' interest, and the social objectives. And it may also include impact investors. Now, financial sustainability. Now, financial sustainability is achieved through business profits, and reinvestment in growth and missions. Examples could be eco-friendly product companies, affordable healthcare technology firms, social impact startups. We have studied Resham Sutra, Zikitsa in the beginning, that are also are very fine example of for-profit social enterprises. Now, there is a comparative analysis of for-profit and not-for-profit social enterprises. So here you can see some bases, you can see not-for-profit enterprise, and you can see for-profit social enterprise. Now, number one point is profit allocation. So profit is basically reinvested back into the mission, whereas for-profit social enterprise, the profits are distributed to the shareholders and the mission. Primary goal is the social impact, and the primary goal for-profit social enterprises to have a social impact and the profits. Revenue sources, donation, grant, service fee, and for profit it is product sales, product service sale, and investment. Tax status, it is often exempted, and for profit it is taxable. Governance, who all are there? Board of directors and stakeholders. Here we can see board of directors, shareholders, and stakeholders. Financial sustainability is through the fundraisers and reinvestments, whereas for profit social enterprise, the financial sustainability is through the sales and investment. Fine example for not-for-profit social enterprises could be a thrift store for charity, community-based NGO, and for-profit social enterprises, eco-friendly product companies, affordable healthcare, technology firms. So this is a brief comparative analysis of what a not-for-profit and what a for-profit social enterprises are. Now, recognizing the need and opportunity in the social entrepreneurship. How do we understand, how do we recognize what is the need of the social, why is the need for the social entrepreneurship? How we can see for the opportunity in social entrepreneurship, how can we identify that yes, this is an there here is an opportunity. Now how can we identify such thing? Now these things can be only identified when we do extensive research, when we try to identify the societal gap, we try to find the solutions, we connect the dots, we come up with the idea, we do the market research, we do the community research, then only we can identify such gaps and such needs. Okay. So, number one is community engagement. Number one is number one is identifying the social needs and understanding societal gaps. So, when we understand the societal gaps, identify the social needs, then we can identify, uh, you know, so this can be only identified through community engagement, if we daily interact or directly interact with the community and listen to the stories, listen to their struggles, what do they think, how do they think that society can be a better place anywhere, right? So listening to their stories, their perspective, community engagement can give us some perspective that can help us in identifying the societal gap. Um, Next is data-driven approach. Next is data-driven approach, a statistical analysis, survey, and demographics. So data-driven approach is basically when we study the data, we do some statistical analysis, do some survey, and do some demographic studies. Next is observing trends. Observing trends is basically global and local trends, understanding broader societal issues. So when we understand, observe the trends, we see how things are changing over the period of time, what people want, what people are demanding, what the society is demanding. And after observing such trends, we can come up to a societal issue. So basically, we can identify the needs or understand the societal gap through community engagement, through a data-driven approach, and through observing trends. Then next is finding viable solution. Now, viable solution is basically anything innovative or innovative idea that addresses the social issue. So the number one is creativity and innovation. Creativity and innovation, that we thinking outside the box, lot of mind storming, right, can help in creating some creative solution for the root cause of social issue. Now mind you that innovation is something that is already there, something is already there in the market, but it has not been connected. So connecting the dots can really help you, thinking, out of the box and creating more solutions. For example, let me just give you an example out of the box. There was internet, there was banking, right? People had phone and phones had internet. So innovative solution for the banking services is what? They have the linkage. Somebody had thought of linking internet, mobile phone, and banks together and create a QR code, a UPI system through which anybody can do the payments. So innovation is something that something is already there. You are just connecting the dot in certain way that it is, smoothly it's helping everybody in every perspective. So creativity and thinking is something that you think out of the box, you create a solution that can eradicate any social issue. Or this internet and UPI system was something not for a social cause, but it is an example that thinking creatively and innovatively does not mean that you have to come up with something, something that has not been there in the industry, and you are coming up with for the, you know thinking creativity and innovation is something that means that the problem is already there in the society, and there are things that are trying to, solve that problem, but they are not connected in certain way. So connecting the dots can also work wonders for the societal causes. Then um, we know that, for example, Resham Sutra, we know solar power is there. We know how their reeling process is done. जो हम चरखे पे होता है, that from a cotton you get a thread, get converted into a thread. तो ये तो हमारे पास already है, but somebody from Resham Sutra has, put this thought that why couldn't I just connected with the solar power and do this reading process easier. So everything was there in the market. They just connected the dots. So that is what I'm talking about, creativity and innovation. Then sustainability and scalability, a proposed solution that can be sustained over the period of time and scaled to have broader impact. So sustainability and scalability means anything that can be sustained for the longer period of time, and scalability means that it can be increased or capture more markets or more areas. Scalable हो जाना चाहिए, broad and has a broader impact. Next is feasibility study. Next is feasibility study. That means assessing practical aspects like financial viability, resource availability, and potential barriers to the implementations. So feasibility study is basically means that whatever you're thinking that you should be doing in the process, it should be feasible, as in it should be financially viable. It the resources that you want to use should be there, should be easily available, and you should have easy access to those resources. And um, it should have something potential, and the barriers for the implementation should be less. So feasibility study means that the practical aspect should be feasible. It should not, if you're trying to create a product, it should not be that expensive. The resources are easily available. It has potential. It can break the barriers, and and it has easy installation, implementation, everything. Next is crafting sustainable business models. For the longevity and impact, the entrepreneur must think of a sustainable business model that can work exactly with what you want to achieve, right? For example, I want to earn profit, but also I want to, but along with the profit, I want that societal impact is also fulfilled. So in that case, business model that I can work for is for profit social enterprise. But if I don't want to earn any profit, I just want to do NGO type work. So then, yes, anybody has any doubt? I just heard somebody talking. I just heard actually a voice. Somebody unmute their mic. Do you have anything to share? Do you have anything to ask? Please share.
No, ma'am, by mistake it got
Okay,
open.
okay, okay. So also, in case you have any doubt, you can just stop me anytime, and I will just try to you know explain it again. Then
Thank you.
the third point is crafting sustainable business models that ensures longevity and impact. So basically, first one is revenue generation. What is your primary goal? Is it to achieve a societal impact or revenue sustainability? So accordingly, according to your revenue generation, or according to your um, perspective, or your actual mission or idea, you can select a business model, right? So it could be a mix of sales, donations, and grants. So that way you can also work. Then impact measurement. You can also set some metrics to assess the effectiveness of your impact. For example, it's just a vague example. So let's say I have a non-for-profit social. I have a enterprise. You tell me, will it be a for-profit or not for-profit? My idea is to, raise through donations. My idea is to purchase some seeds of tree and plant it wherever there are feasible, wherever they are feasible, just so that I can achieve a green area in 25 or 50 years. So will it be a for profit, or will it be a not for profit social enterprise?
मैम नॉन प्रॉफिट के
Not for
लिए
profit. It will be a not for profit. Very good.
और
But yes,
इफ अगर इन जैसे अभी थोड़ा चेंजेस आ रहे हैं तो उसमें कुछ ग्रीन एरिया को कार्बन से रिलेटेड कुछ है ना, कि जिसके पास जितना ज्यादा ग्रीन प्लांट्स लगे हुए जिसके पास, वो जितनी ऑक्सीजन प्रोवाइड कर रहा है इन्वायरमेंट में, तो
हाँ
वो
जी,
अभी बिजनेस के थ्रू भी देखा जा रहा है।
हाँ,
जैसे
उसको बिजनेस के
कोई
थ्रू
किसी
भी
से
देखा जा रहा है।
कार्बन फुटप्रिंट।
या बट वही अगर मेरा that was my mission that I want to convert certain area green in some years. ठीक है, so that is a not for profit. But if I want to, convert this into a for profit enterprise, so I can just say I will just, like sir, you just said that carbon footprints ko kam karne ke liye, and really that area releases more oxygen, and somehow I don't know how this thing works, but somehow I have converted into a business idea, a for profit idea. So that becomes a for-profit enterprise. But my main agenda, my main point was that impact measurement. How will you access? How will you understand? And how will you assess that? Yes, I have. Uh, achieved what I wanted to achieve. For example, I want कि मैं 100 लड़कियों को फ्री में एजुकेशन, या 100 बच्चों को या 1000 बच्चों को फ्री में एजुकेशन प्रोवाइड करूं, तो मेरा एक मैट्रिक सेट हो गया ना, that I want to teach how 1000 students or 100 students for free. So once, for example, we say we want 20% increase in sales, so 20% increase in sales we can quantify, and we can check that yes, we have achieved it or not. So it is a metric that we have, right? Aise hi, to assess the social effectiveness, we must have a clear matrix that I want to this particular city or this particular area to be developed, roads should be developed, or whatever the matrix that you set. So there is no such matrix as such. If I just say there is no such matrix, but identifying it and giving yourself certain target can really help in measuring the impact, and it can also tell how far you have come along, right? So it can guide you for further strategies, like, right, I have fulfilled this much criteria, next target would be this, next target would be that. So impact measurement is basically you measure, you set a benchmark, you reached up to the benchmark, and then you set another benchmark, and then you do put in efforts and fulfill that benchmark. So this is how you set some matrix, and this is how it guides you to the future strategies. It is very easy for the for profit social enterprise because the numbers can tell, but in case of a not for profit social enterprise, this matrix could be of a qualitative aspect as well as a quantitative aspect. Then comes the community involvement. The community involvement ensures that the likelihood of the success and the sustainability. If community is engaging and very much interested in what you are doing, that tells that your idea, your whatever you have thought that with the social enterprise we are going to achieve, that is correct, because then you have validation from the community as well. Next, fourth point is scaling for wider impact. Now, when we are trying to scale up for the wider impact, that means we are going to expand our reach and deepens the impact, which means that strategies for scaling. Now, scaling only happens when we are trying to, geographically expand ourselves, diversify services and products. So, uh, when we reach out to the different geographical expansion and diversify, that means that we are trying to expand our social enterprise. Next is partnership and collaboration, which is about forming alliance with the other organizations, government bodies, and community to increase the impact and facilitate scalability. Next is leverage technology, which means a powerful tool. Uh, technology using technology and reaching out to the audience and making the services more accessible is what scaling is all about. Last to winters, I was actually scrolling through the Instagram and I got to see certain videos where some people from the community are trying to promote that they are providing shelters for the dogs, which are the shelters that they have created from the plastic drums, and they have kept some clothes in it, and dogs can just stay in their shelter, which also save them from this the extreme winter weather conditions. So I saw that video, and I saw that in that video they were asking for the donations, not to just for the that particular enterprise was working for the benefit of the dogs. They do not wanted to put any money in their pockets, rather just to provide shelters for the dogs, the street dogs. So uh, they were using social media. It's not actually technology, but they were using social media to reach out to the audience and make sure that people are aware, and they reach out and they contribute to the cause. But also, um, there are there are many possible ways through which you can reach out to the much wider audiences and make these services more accessible to the community, to the social causes, and also create the awareness amongst the consumers, right? So, what is the key component of recognizing the need and opportunity in social entrepreneurship is number one, that identify the social needs, which is understand the unmet needs within the communities. Uh, you can just the key activities that some can do is community engagement, data analysis, observe the trend, and find a viable solution that are innovative, that are practical, that are creative, and that addresses the needs, that connects the dot very well. It can happen through creativity and innovation, sustainability and scalability, and feasibility study. Then uh, crafting a business model is understanding what kind of model you want to work on. Is it for profit or is it not for profit? And once you figure that out, then you can that will be easier. Then the further process will be easier, so that you can have a direction, that you can get to know what will be the revenue generation strategies, what will be the impact, what will be the community involvement, right? Then scaling of the impact, once you have decided that, then you want to scale the impact, scale the operations, expand the reach, deepens the impact, reach out to the much wider communities, and work on the ground root levels, and start and then key activities will be that strategies for scaling, partnership and collaboration, technology utilization. So we have few examples that you can go through for identifying needs, data surveys in the community for mental health needs, finding viable solution, for example, developing a mobile app for a mental health resources, crafting business models, sliding scale service model for accessibility, and scaling for impact, partnering up with the school for program implementation. Next, we have some social and environmental awareness as motivators for social entrepreneurs. What are some of the social and environmental awareness as motivators for the social entrepreneurs. Means what motivates the social entrepreneurs in terms of social and environmental aspect. So, number one is global challenge. It means awareness of widespread issue, for example, climate change, poverty, and inequality. So, what are the sources of awareness? How can you get to know about these issues? It could be international news, global forums, academic studies, right? And how does it impact entrepreneurship? It inspires solutions with a broad and global impact. Next is local community issues, understanding specific challenge that local communities are facing, right? Then community engagement, local media, personal experiences. They can get aware through community engagement, right? And how does it impact entrepreneurship? It drives targeted solutions for the community needs. Next is educational influence. Formal education providing formal formal education, providing foundational knowledge about societal challenges. So if you are studying about the societal challenge, that is also one of the source through which you can get motivated and you can get the knowledge. And what is the source of awareness? Studying social sciences, environmental studies, public health courses. And how can it impact entrepreneurship? It can form the theoretical basis on venture ideas. Then public and media and public disclosures, where it is all about the influence of documentaries, news, and social medias on understanding societal issues. I will be sharing a video with you all, or maybe in the next class, I will show you that video. That video is on um, mica mining. You know what mica is? Does anybody of us know what mica is? Do you have an idea?
मैम माइका और नाइका
Mica, M-I-C-A, mica.
नो मैम
So mica is a key ingredient in the cosmetics. When you see that sparkly or glittery thing in any cosmetic, that is mica. And India is one of the major country where we get mica. In Jharkhand, I also saw mica in Ranikhet in the hills. Mica is in Jharkhand, and the mines are so tiny that uh, children between the age of 9 to 12, they can only enter those mines, and because they are very small mines, they know what stone, what to get from downstairs in the mines. So, where the mines are there of mica, you can see the sand is also so glittery. Um, and though that is a child exploitation, child labor is there. They follow child labor practices. They exploit the human resource. Many children dies in the mine because they are very tiny. No, and a simple adult person cannot enter those mines. They have very tiny holes, and the daily wage for each child is like 100 to 150 rupees. That's what they pay them to extract mica from the mines. And a foreigner made a documentary about that. And that is also one of the reason that people in cosmetics are not supporting the mica, original mica. They are actually supporting synthetic mica, because so that they do not motivate or encourage such mining practices. So many companies are not purchasing this mica, but rather they are getting synthetic mica, so that they do not support such practices. I will share a video. It's a eye-opening video. It's a very nice video. You will get to know. So the reason why I shared this video, because while I was, reading this point, it actually clicked in my mind. So influence of documentaries, news, and social medias on understanding societal issues. This video did the same for me. It actually knocked my uh, brain, and it actually, gave the clarity over the topic that, you know, because the documentary was made and it helped me understand the societal issue. So the source of awareness is documentaries, news report, any social media campaigns. So impact on the entrepreneur should be raise awareness and shape the entrepreneurial perspective. So instead of that, many companies are producing synthetic mica. Maybe they would have come up with this idea that people are not, supporting this, or purchasing this mica just to encourage such practices. So somebody would have come up with this entrepreneurship idea. So, all such documentaries can also help you just give some perspective, reach out to identify a gap so that you can convert it into an opportunity by convert it into an opportunity by providing a solution, not by exploiting them more, but rather providing with them with a solution. Next is personal experiences, direct encounters with the societal, social, and environmental challenges. It happens, you can gather this information through personal life experiences, travel, or volunteer work. So, in Delhi, from like past 4 5 years, we can see around the Diwali time, we see a lot of pollution, and that stays for like month, 2 or 3 months. And initially, there were no issues, but now people are developing breathing problems, and everything. I don't know, but I guess somebody was giving this statement that um, this pollution is not doing any harm to anybody. There is no statistics about it, but I think people should understand that these problems do not come. It's not a COVID. It's not a coronavirus that it will just, it will start showing up. It will build on you, it will grow on you, and then when it will grow, it will really show, and the statistics will talk about it. So people, experiencing it, we every year we face this challenge, and every year Delhi becomes a gas chamber. And people now, I have seen a lot of people in my known are developing some breathing issues. The doctor has prescribed them a pump, right? So this doesn't, so through personal experiences, we are, getting to know that yes, we are facing this environmental challenge, or yes, we are facing certain social challenge. So often, the most powerful motivator for social entrepreneurship, um, so it is, yeah, it is the most powerful tool, because when you experience something personally, then you can vouch for it, and through your personal experiences you can say that yes, I have experienced this, and yes, I want to work and provide a solution for this thing. Then some experiences, learning about the others struggle and challenges is kind of an empathy program, where we are trying to learn about the other struggles and challenges. This kind of information we can gather from storytelling or research or interviews, and it encourages empathy and also desire to effect change. So if you listen to somebody's struggle, and you learn about it, you empathize with it, then there are also chance that it can motivate you and motivate the entrepreneurial aspect of you. So I hope this was not that confusing. These were just the um uh, certain motivators that impacts the entrepreneurship, that impacts the social entrepreneurship. I hope this is clear. Okay. Moving next, exploring the models of social entrepreneurship. Now, there are certain models of social entrepreneurship. We just studied two types of entrepreneurship. One is for profit and one is not for profit. But now we have certain models of social entrepreneurship. Now, social entrepreneurship has a wide range of models with unique features or characteristics. So, this will help in understanding the and exploring the diversity of social entrepreneurship model and their operational mechanics that targets operational mechanics, target markets, and strategies. So based on these models, we can further identify key which operational mechanisms we have to follow, what will be the target market, what strategies do we need to follow. Like in the types of social enterprises we studied about social enterprise and we studied about not for social enterprise. We understood what is the model of those each enterprises, what is the operational model, what is the strategic objective. Same thing now we are going to study in this sector, in this section, but it is not for for profit or not profit, but it is the models of social entrepreneurship, the other models of further segregations of the social entrepreneurship in both the categories. And we will study about their diversity, their operational mechanism, their revenue generation, revenue model, their target markets, and their strategies. Now, as we can see, for the models of social entrepreneurship, there are total 6 types of social entrepreneurships. Number one is traditional not profit model. So the traditional not for profit model, which is charitable venture that focuses on a social mission. Next, we have is social business model, a for-profit model that it's a for-profit model that is a profit-making venture with a social goal. Then we have a cooperative model, which is owned and operated enterprise. Then we have is hybrid model, which is a combination of non-profit and for-profit elements. Then we have microfinance institutions facilitating financial inclusion. Then we have technology-driven ventures, which is leveraging technology for social good. Now, the first is traditional non-profit model, which is about charitable venture that is focused on the social mission. Now, this model basically represents a classical approach to social entrepreneurship where the primary goal is to address a social issue through charitable activities. So here, our entire focus is to cover up the non-profit model. It works. The primary goal is to address, to reach, or to have a societal impact through charitable activities. So, what is the funding and revenue for this? It basically relies on the donation, grants, and fundraisers. What are the operations? It focuses on providing services or goods that are directly targeted to the target population without any primary intention of making profit. So the operation is that they do not want to, they have no primary, they don't have intention of generating profit. There is no primary intention of such sort. Rather, they focus on providing goods and services directly to the population. What is the impact strategy? What is the strategy? The direct impact they want to create is through delivery of the services, advocacy, and the community development. For example, a non-profit organization providing free educational resources to the underprivileged communities. So, any not-for-profit organization that is providing the, um, you know, free access to the education to the underprivileged communities. Now, this is a perfect example of the non-for-profit, not-for-profit, or not-profit model. So this was the number one, purely non-profit model. Second is social business profit making. Now, this is a profit making venture with the social goals. A typical for profit business that integrates with the social mission into their business model. And unlike the traditional business, their main goal is the social objective, not the financial objective, right? Or achieve the social goal along with the financial goal, right? So funding and revenue, they generate revenue through the sale of product and services. They reinvest significant portion of the profits back into the social program. Then they operates in a market line, other businesses, but with the commitment to achieving social impact. So how do they operate? They operate in a market-like businesses, but they are committed towards achieving a social impact. They have a competition, no doubt they have a competition, but along with that, they are targeted, they are focused on achieving a social impact. Next we have is impact strategy. What will be their strategy? It is about creating a balance profitability with the social impact, and it is often through the product or service sale or designing. So basically impact स्ट्रैटेजी यही रहता है कि प्रॉफिट और सोशल इम्पैक्ट दोनों में बैलेंस रहे, right? For example, a company selling eco-friendly products and using a portion of profits to fund environmental conservation initiatives. So this is the example of uh, a social business model, a profit-making venture. Next we have is cooperative model. Cooperative model is basically a member-owned and operated enterprises. Now, cooperative models are the businesses owned and operated by the group of individuals for their mutual benefits. So, cooperative through name, it suggests that, it's a cooperative type of a okay. So, businesses basically own this and operate. Um, It is owned by the business, controlled by the members like workers and producers and consumers, and they work on a mutual benefits. They are basically based on the principles of democracy, equality, and solidarity. So the main aim is to solve the social and environmental issues rather than just maximizing the profits. So these enterprises also prioritize reinvesting the surpluses into the community and or uh, member services, and it fosters equality, democracy, and resilience and local economic development. So people who use or work in or benefit from the cooperative owns it, right? So it ensures that the businesses serve their needs. um, One member, it is basically operated on a one member, one vote, one member, one vote basis rather than controlled by the shareholders or external shareholders. We have studied this cooperative in our maybe in our school times as well. The cooperative models basically works on a one member, one vote. So the people who are working in the organization controls all the mechanism. So there is no other person who is controlling the working, the enterprise, right? So whatever the surpluses they generate, they reinvest back into the member services or community projects or any social mission. So a very common types when we can see social integration cooperatives, worker cooperatives, producer marketing cooperatives. So they are basically of high resilience because they share commitment There is a shared commitment and there is a low transaction cost. It increases the equity. Basically, it uplifts women, it is inclusive, and people from marginalized groups are also part of this cooperative model. It creates a stronger trust and for example, a well example of a cooperative model is Amul. Amul India is a massive dairy cooperative that allows small farmers to sell the produce directly and fairly. So this is the next time, I guess I will be in the next class, which will be on the Saturday. I will share a detailed case study of Amul because Amul is a very best example of cooperative model and how it connects the dot very well. So in the next Saturday class, I'll be discussing this Amul case study with you all, right? So funding and revenue is basically member contribution. Member contributes and the revenue from the sales of services. Operations is basically managed democratically by the members with profit shared and reinvested in the cooperative. Impact strategies basically it focuses on community development, fair trade, and sustainable practices. So, example is a worker-owned cooperatives that produces fair trade coffee. For this, Amul is the best example. I'll be sharing that. Next is hybrid model. Hybrid model is basically a combination of both not profit and for profit elements. Now, this can be confusing um, because well, it is a blend of characteristics of non-profit and for-profit. So it basically combines commercial business activities with the philanthropic, social, and environmental missions. So it operates multiple business lines to support their social missions. So here, it is a sales of it's a blend of sales with the grants and donations and funds for to support the social goals. So it becomes very complex. It this kind of mechanism, this kind of business is basically bridges the gap and provide a mark. It's a using a market mechanism. It actually tackles complex societal problems through integrating revenue um, you know, revenue from multiple streams. So it basically generates revenue from sales of from the product sales. They also generate some income through grants and donations. So it is a one-for-one model. It matches every purchases with the donations to someone in need. So the funding revenue is a diverse funding stream, for example, commercial activities and donations. Operations, they run both profit making and charitable programs. Um, charitable and profit making and charitable programs, often using profit from commercial activities to fund social initiatives. The impact strategy is basically to leverage the strengths of both non-profit and for-profit models to maximize social impact. So the key benefit is that it provides sustainability, it increases the brand reputation, and it also offers the innovation as it combines the both corporate and non-profit sector. So this model basically creates a brand reputation and it helps in balancing the tensions, right? And it has a dual mission: financial sustainability and social environment impact also. Well, that is for the for profit as well, but the funding source is different. The key difference is that funding, they are generating diverse revenue from different streams. They are also getting revenue from the sales, and they are also getting revenue from the money or the grant money from the grants or donations, right? So, example could be a social mission that runs for-profit technology company and non-for-profit education initiative. For example, I don't know how much this example relates, but you would have seen, you would have shopped from many a brand called Lifestyle, right? Or Shop Stop, or you must have heard about Shanti Amla. Whenever you purchase, they ask you like, would you like to donate 1 rupees? H&M, whether would you like to donate 1 rupees for this charity? It's a combination. So that is kind of a combination of non-profit and for-profit elements. I don't know how to which extent and to how much extent it is correct, but as far as this thing is concerned, they are following uh, you know they are fulfilling this dual aspect. Next we have is microfinance institutions. Microfinance institutions are basically specialized financial entities that provide small loans or micro credits or savings and insurance and other services to the low income individuals or the group that lacks access to the traditional banking, particularly in developing and underdeveloped nations. So this is what MFIs are all about. They provide the financial services to the people who have lack of access to the conventional banking and related services. So the role is to foster financial inclusion, especially amongst the low income population. The target audience is what? For microfinance institution, the target audience is marginalized groups, rural poor or micro entrepreneurs without collateral. They basically they work on the lending model where the memberships share responsibility for the loan repayment. Beyond the credit, they also provide the saving facilities, insurance for the health or life, and the model transfers, money transfers. The funding is the funding MFIs depends on the bank and large financial institution that offers loan at high interest rate due to higher risk and operational cost of doorstep services. So the funding and revenue is basically MFIs primarily generates revenue through interest on loan, fees, and other financial services, sometimes also through grants and investments. They aim to be self-sustaining. Um, they make sure that the people that are who are taking benefit from them, taking services from them, are basically self-sustained and they are self-reliable. Operations. Their operations are focused on providing small loans, micro loans, savings account, insurances, and other financial products to the individuals and the small businesses that do not have access to the traditional banking. They often employ a group lending model and provide financial literacy training. So they basically provide micro loans as we discussed, and they also provide the financial literacy training. As you can see and as you can know, the financial literacy is kind of people are, and it has been added to the curriculum as well. Financial literacy, digital literacy, um, and such areas need so much attention at so many levels. So this microfinance institution are basically helping our rural marginalized areas and low income population, and people with lot of education in this area. The impact strategy is to um, provide to empower the economically disadvantaged group or marginalized groups and provide them with the financial tools and resources and they also provide resources for them to start with their own businesses. It also, since it is financial inclusion, and also it also empowers the women, the rural women, to start with their own businesses. They provide small micro loans, and it also helps in improving the livelihoods and fosters economic development, increases the standard of living. So, example is basically a venture that provides micro loan primarily to the women's in rural area to support various entrepreneurial activities. Next, we have is technology driven ventures leveraging tech for social good. So, basically using for the technology for the uh, social good. So, I guess, yeah. So technology-driven venture is basic and social enterprises basically using technological innovations to address the social challenges. Now, these ventures often focus on scalability and reaching the wider audience through technological solution. Now, the funding and revenue source for this technological driven venture is basically through providing technological products or sale of technological products or services. These venture also attract investments from those who are interested in the technological driven social impact. Now, the operations are they involve development and implementation of technological solutions such as technologizing certain apps, online platforms, or any hardware that addresses specific issues, um, some healthcare technologies, educational apps. I could say Zikitsa had this, s- uh, you know, if they I don't know how do they operate, if they have any app or not, I don't know about that. But in case if they have, or if they have certain apps that provide technological advancements to the audience or to the users, then it is a social technologically driven venture. Impact strategy would be that to focus on using technology that enhance the efficacy, efficiency, scalability, and effectiveness. These ventures basically aims to bridge the gap in service delivery or access to the information that traditional methods cannot effectively address. For example, during the coronavirus time, there were many apps, many websites, many companies started, there were startups. Mostly you can see the content industry was booming, uh, edtech sector boomed, right? Because whatever internet was the only thing that was connecting everyone. So technology driven ventures have a future, and also if they if there is they offer something for the social good, then it becomes this social enterprise. So example could be any venture that provides medical emergency services or ambulance services in India, that utilizes technology to improve access and response time, which is Zekitsa. So that we did a quick summary of what we have just studied, the models of social entrepreneurship. We can see we studied about traditional not profit, which is organization that focuses on addressing social issues through charitable activities relying on donations and grants. One of the example is Goonj. Goonj is an NGO that, for example, you have a lot of clothes at your home, right? You want to discard the clothes. So Goonj is a NGO where you can drop all the clothes. They can use, in case if there is any cloth which can be used, it is in a good condition, they keep it that way, and rest they recycle it. So that focuses on disaster relief, humanitarian aid, community development. Goonj has a center, a drop center in South Delhi as well. um, they do not pick up pick the clothes from the home, you have to drop the clothes there. There are also certain NGOs which actually pick the clothes from your home. So that is a traditional not for profit organization. Then we have a social business for profit venture that is integrated with the social mission. They generate revenue through sale of product and services. Amul is actually wrongly quoted here. It could be this, but it is a cooperative model, right? I'll just correct this. It's a cooperative model. Social business may you can write this Resham Sutra. Then we have a cooperative model, member-owned business, focus on mutual benefits and often emphasizing the community development. Amul is the best example. Then we have a Seva, self-employed women's association, where female cooperative providing employment and empowerment to the other women artisans. Then we have hybrid model. In this hybrid model, it combines the elements of not profit and for profit models that often run multiple lines of businesses and the revenue. For example, the Arvind eye care system that provides the eye care services with the cross subsidy model, and it actually has a blend of paid and free services. So some services are free, some are paid, and if it is paid, it will be a very nominal cost. Then we have microfinance institution providing the financial aid to the low income individual or those without access to typical banking services. So it's SKS Microfinance that offers microloans to the women in rural areas for various entrepreneurial activities. Then we have a technology-driven venture, which is utilizing technology to address social issues, often focusing on scalability and wide reach. So Zikitsa is one of the example that we did in the beginning. It offers emergency medical services and ambulance services accessible through the technology. Now, in the next class, I will be discussing 2 or more case studies with you all, companies and case studies with you all. The more case studies you study, the more cases, the more businesses you study about, it will really help you to understand the perspective of social or enterprise, and it can also help you to come up with your own ideas where you can bring in some innovative solutions and look forward to the societal problems and connect the dots that nobody could just think of, right? So this is not about learning something new, creating something new, but whatever you have, making the best out of it. So I think innovation and entrepreneurship is about the same, right? Uh, Now, I would just like to take some questions if you have any.
Okay, ma'am.
In case of any questions, I would like to take, if anybody wants to share anything, discuss anything.
मैम ये पीपीटी शेयर करोगे आप?
Yes, I will share the PPT. Do you have any group?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
If you have any group, just add me in the group, or I can just ask the faculties over there. They can also add me into the group. Whatever it is, just I'll just talk
मैम
to the
सिंपल या फिर
sir.
आप नंबर मतलब मेरा नंबर ले लो, मुझे शेयर कर देना। बाकी बहुत सारे ग्रुप है, मतलब 3 ग्रुप है, तो उसमें मैं शेयर कर दूंगा सबको। मैं सीआर हूँ, मतलब
Okay, you are
एमबीए
the
का स्टैंफोर्ड
CR.
का।
Okay,
यस मैम।
then give me your number then.
आपका पर्सनल नंबर भी रहेगा ना, आपका पर्सनल नंबर रहेगा और इसलिए ठीक रहेगा मैम।
Give me your number.
8285
Um,
8285
एक minute. 8285.
10
Hmm.
109480।
Okay. हरेंद्र कुमार।
मैम रोलेक्स होगा, रोलेक्स से होगा ये नाम।
नहीं, यहाँ पे हरेंद्र कुमार दिख रहा है।
अब ये कॉलेज आईडी ना, मतलब कॉलेज में तो रोलेक्स ही जानते हैं ना।
अच्छा। ओके,
मैं इस पे
नो
आप
इशू।
मतलब व्हाट्सएप पे कर देना, बाकी मैं सबको कर दूंगा क्योंकि बहुत सारे ग्रुप है। फिर अगर आपको ऐड कर
नहीं,
नया ग्रुप
just
बनाना
add me
तो
in a one group that
ओके मैम, फिर मैं ऐड कर दूंगा। ठीक है।
One official group where I can share the PPT, I can share the case studies, I can share some videos for you to watch, and that will be a great way of communicating.
ओके मैम, मैं कर दूंगा। नंबर आप मुझे
Oh,
मुझे मैसेज कर देना, एक बार पिन कर देना।
I will do it. I'll do.
ओके, थैंक यू मैम।
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
थैंक यू मैम फॉर ग्रेट सेशन।